Holly Cotton here. And listen, you guys, my last episode, we were talking about getting the minority population up. We're trying to bridge that gap. We're talking about monetizing, getting our money right. I'm telling you, it's almost Christmas time. So I have a treat for you guys, an early Christmas present, because I have DJ, the money coach. He's going to get us right, you guys. And DJ is the founder and CEO of Darrensburg International and the Seven Spheres of Money. And he's going to talk to us about how he became a money coach, what he's doing, giving back, all of that great stuff, how he's empowering us to get our money right. So, welcome, DJ.
Hey, how you doing, Holly? Thank you for having me on your show. It's a privilege and an honor to be your guest today.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's be honest, DJ. Okay, let's start with the name, okay? Because DJ the Money Coach is definitely an eye catcher. It definitely is going to make you turn your head whenever you hear DJ the Money Coach. So let's start with the name and how that became your title.
Oh, absolutely. Well, long story short, Holly, I am a former baseball player. Played some college baseball at the University of Wisconsin Oshkosh several years back, and also have been a baseball coach from Little League to traveling all-star team. So basically, the DJ is my first and middle initial, and I've been, coaching baseball for about 16 years, and I've been a money coach for about 12 years. So basically, I branded that internationally and domestically and became DJ the Money Coach. On top of that, I've had securities license, almost every securities license you could talk about, from Series 7, 65, 6, 63, chartered senior financial planner and certified estate advisor, managed millions of dollars back in the day for professional middle class and businesses and churches across the country.
So I think one interesting point that you were saying when you were talking about coaching baseball and having that I guess mental gap between adults, high functioning middle class workers to actual youth. So I know that that's one of the things I read on like your mission statement or the information about the courses that you teach is how you actually teach at a level that is understandable for even someone younger. So I think that that's probably a key thing for you, that you're like, okay, I've been coaching, I know you guys don't get it all the time, I have to break it down. So tell us about how you're also implementing that into these courses, which we'll talk about later. Don't worry, guys, I'll get the deets. But how did that become like a teaching method?
Well, first and foremost, let me give your audience the definition of genius. The definition of genius, Holly, is not one person able to break down complicated things. It's actually one person able to make complicated things simple for the masses. That's what true genius is. So, what I basically have understood is from playing sports, unfortunately, in our community, especially in the urban communities, we think that sports are the only way out. So, the reality is this: it's easier for you to become successful financially as a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, an engineer than it is for you to become a professional athlete. So if your child at age 3 can learn how to pick up a basketball, tote a football, pick up some golf clubs, that same child intellectually has the capacity to learn about money. So if you take that child and start teaching them about money, just like I was taught playing the game Monopoly, it's real simple. Whatever you put in their hands first, you find their genius, and then you work with it and you keep it at a third grade level where everybody understands it. It's just that simple.
Okay, I love that. So no excuses basically. Whatever your learning level is, we got it something for you guys. So, I know you said that you started in baseball and coaching and playing and doing this, but I feel like there's always something that ignites a passion in us. And for you, how did you find that being a money coach was a passion that you had?
Well, that's a great question, Holly. The first time that I realized that not only that I had genius for numbers, which went back to like first grade, I was real good math. But when it really hit home financially, it was actually in the early '90s when my mother was a victim of identity theft, and then in the late '90s, my mother was victim of predatory lending by mortgage companies, which actually still exist today. So when I realized that my mother was a victim and having been a nurse just like you are, or past nurse, I actually realized that there was a gap. And the gap was this: it was that most people who are middle class, they have middle class income, but they don't have middle class wealth. What do I mean by that? If you stopped working today and you didn't have passive income, that middle class income would go away. Middle class wealth would actually continue to generate monthly, income for you on a passive, relation standpoint. Be it if you got a business, if you have a franchise, if you have real estate, that money would come in without your effort. So when I realized that not only did my mother have that challenge, I actually found myself coming out of college having an accounting background and a business background as well. And I had like $60,000 worth of credit card debt. And this was back in the late, 90s. I mean, not late 90s, but the late 80s, early 90s. And then I knew how to do personal finances for corporations. I actually had accounting background, was a president of a small accounting practice on the North Shore of Chicago. But then I realized I never learned about personal finance. So having been one of the first two people on my father's side to actually go through college, I realized I took on a lot of credit card debt. Nobody put a gun up to my head and told me to sign the credit cards, but I signed the credit cards so I could, survive and pay for tuition and to, pay for, housing. So when I looked at myself and I got out of school and I started sitting down with individuals that were making what it seems like they were making a lot of money, $100,000, $150,000 a year. I sat down and saw these people living in these big houses, but they own nothing. They were buying everything on credit. Then I looked at people who didn't make any money and they have the same problem. So I realized two things real quickly, Holly, is that in finances, most companies like UBS, Merrill Lynch, uh, Goldman Sachs, they will never come talk to you and I if you don't have liquidable assets of $5 million. Now, conversely, you and I being educated, we will never go talk to the Walmart financial services of the world. And that's not a dispersion against them, but the reality is most time we make more money than that young man or woman that's actually trying to give us financial services. So we're not generally tend to listen to them. So I realized there was a gap in the middle class, and that gap pertained to household incomes that at 75,000 to married couples and significant others had 250,000. Those people had master degrees, doctors, and engineering degrees, but they had a low financial education. And what pivoted for me is that around about 2000, 2001, there was a show on 60 Minutes where they actually interviewed PhDs, doctors, engineers, and they had massive student loan debt and massive credit card debt. And I said, wow, that's me. And I said, how can we solve that? I said, well, the only way to solve that is the one to create a system that is learnable at a third grade level, condense it down to 3 hours, and then make it available to let people know that you make mistakes. So one of the first mistakes I made, I had my car repoed back in 1994. I was actually in the car business and wearing expensive clothes and all that, nice, jackets and, shoes. And I had no money in the bank and I had a massive car note. And my car actually got repoed at the car dealership I worked at. At that time, I think I was about 25, 26 years of age. It was extremely embarrassing, but it actually became a
DJ,
very
I was just about to say, "Ooh, I know that was embarrassing."
Oh yeah, absolutely. But what it realized to me is that when I saw my mom getting financial, debt, and then I started going into these households, it was a common situation where people overextended with their credit. And one thing that happens in corporate America, when you get a significant paying job, your manager or your director above always tell you when you get your first promotion, go get a big car and get a big house. And the reason why they tell you this, Holly, is that they can have you under their thumb under compulsion because they know you didn't buy it cash. And if they tell you to do something that you're not really interested in doing or goes against your belief system, you have no choice but to do it because you got to sustain that image that you live in by that's not really true reality. So that's where I was able to pivot. And then I started in my church. I built a program called Faith, Love, and Money off of biblical principles that talked about being out of debt, owning everything you have your name on it, and basically started seeing some success in our church. Then I went to the YMCA. Then I started working with the credit unions. Then I started working with non-for-profits across the country.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I love that you said that when you found your passion, you immediately started working with the church. You started working with the community because a lot of times you get this information and then it's almost like that. I don't want to say like that just the slave oppression mentality, but it's like this is too good. I don't want to give it to anybody else because I don't want nobody to do better than me, So I'm that I love that you did say that about how once you found your passion, you were like, oh, I have to share this with other people. And so that kind of leads into my next question because whenever I think of people that have a huge pool of information in their head, I know that there is like a common question that you get asked all the time. Like when you start saying, "Hey, I'm DJ the money coach," or they see you have the seven spheres of money, or they see what you're doing. I know that there's probably like a genre of questions that come a lot. So, do you have like some common questions that most people ask you whenever they find out about you being a money coach?
Yeah, the funny thing is, especially on these social media platforms, I always express to people, Holly, I say, I'm not a YouTuber, I'm not an IGer. I actually run a legitimate 20-year-old business that was began in 2002 of December. And the first thing people always ask me is really how to get something for nothing. They actually try to ask you, how do I make six figures? How do I make, seven-figure net worth? I said, well, the first thing is, how about your personal debt? Let's talk about you getting totally out of consumer debt so you can control your life and you can live on less and have more quality of life. See, that's the first thing. And I said, what you have to do is you have to practice a thing I call the 4x4. So the first four is what I call the four dirty little words, Holly. The first thing is discipline. And being an athlete, a lot of times people get disciplined because in order to get good at anything, you have to have the ability to discipline yourself. So I ask people, where are you in lines of your discipline and your budget? And they say, well, what do you mean? I said, if you have discretionary income and you're going out here and you're spending $20, $30 here every day, it doesn't seem like a lot of money. But $30 times 30, that's $900 a month. And the average person, when I got into the industry that filed bankruptcy back in 2006, only had a debt of less than $5,000, but they were filing bankruptcy. But that same person was going out just like I was as a young adult. I was buying lunch, breakfast, and dinner as a single person every day. And I was spending $60, $70 a day. Didn't seem like a lot. But then I was wondering, where's my money at? My money was being, not disciplined well, and I didn't have a budget. Even Bill Gates has a budget. Even Elon Musk have a budget, maybe bigger than yours and mine, but the reality is they stick to a budget. So the first thing is I tell them, become disciplined and we put you on the budget. We actually track people's expenses and actually we have them look at it, Holly, and it becomes so painful for them to see the stuff that they're wasting money on. I'll give you an example. So we're all,
I
a
know.
lot of people.
I've had to have some coming to Jesus moments for Holly Cotton herself. I'm like, wait a minute, and then I'm like, okay, so do I really need to go get a $13 salad every 2 days, or do I really need to do this, or do I need to do that? So yeah, I know it's almost like a shame whenever you have to pull it out and like, oh, so you're broke and your debt to income ratio is great, but you spend $100 a week on coffee. So yeah.
Yep, I call them the hidden foxes. That's exactly. And what I do is I ask people, I say, Holly, do you give me permission to tell you what you need to know, give you the instruction how to get out of it and how to become, successful financially. And once you do, all gloves are off. So I don't baby people. See, that's the thing. Tough love that you get permission to provide tough love gets people financially free quicker than anything. There's nobody that's been in our system which has comprised of, I've personally sat down with over 45,000 people individually since 2002. I've been on platforms and spoken to hundreds of thousands across the United States. But the one thing that's always common, Holly, is that these people don't have budgets. And once they allow us to put them on a budget for 30 days and find all these hidden foxes, I now show them how to get the same high quality value life for the same product and service as long as they're willing to have some discipline. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I tell them they have to be accountable. So they have to have accountability to three people in their lives. First, you got to have a spiritual leader, not somebody that's a personality, but somebody that follows the principles of God, no matter whom your God is, be it Jesus Christ, be it Allah, or whomever. But you got to be accountable to that system. The third thing is within our system, you have to plug into the seven spheres of money system. And what that is, Holly, I actually over 23 years have devised a system where I actually go out and work with accounting practices. I work with mortgage bankers, financial planners, attorneys, and we have partnerships together. So I actually put middle class people and lower middle class people into these systems to get them access and give them high level financial literacy. So that's the third thing. And then the last one is the one where the rubber meets the road, is doing the work. And see, a lot of times on these platforms, we'll see somebody say they're making six figures or seven figures, but you don't see their backstory. And I was listening to your interview yesterday with the gentleman who's the CEO of the new Black Wall Street, and he talked about how people glorify entrepreneurship, but they don't tell them about all the downsides of grinding. So what you have to have the ability to do is say, look, this is not a 2 to 5 day success track, 2 to 5 weeks, 2 to 5 months. It's 2 to 5 years. In 2 to 5 years, if you can plug in to have discipline, be accountable, plug into a proven system, and do the work without looking at the results, nobody that I ever taught cannot become debt free, get an 800 credit score, and get on a pathway of making 6 figures a year with a 7 figure net worth. It's just not possible. It's the same pathway to success for playing a violin or playing golf or playing basketball. It's the same thing.
Okay, let me take some notes here. Right. Let me take some mental notes. So with that, I want to kind of piggyback off of what you just said because yes, that was one of the questions that it's so hard whenever I do a podcast. There's so when someone has such great information like the interview you were saying with Martell, it was so hard to condense it to a 3.5 4 minute clip because he really said so many great things. But one of the things I always ask about is the challenges. And whenever we're talking about entrepreneurship or like you just said, the challenges of having a budget, the execution of the discipline to keep the budget, all of that. So, as you were starting to find your passion, start building your brand, start doing this, what are some of the challenges? Because someone is probably sitting around saying, "Oh, you know what? I think I could do that. Oh, I should build me a course. I should do that." People always see the success and they think it's so easily obtainable. So, can you give us just some insight on maybe what were some of the challenges that you had to one get the notoriety that you have now where you like they say put some respect on my name and then also some like the challenges that you didn't even foresee with doing this.
Well, I'll tell you, the first thing is that the challenge is to have humility and having the ability to not be embarrassed about your situation. Because here's the reality in life: we only come into life knowing three things: fear of heights, fear of loud sounds, fear of falling. Everything else is learned. So if you don't have a financial education, even though you have a doctorate degree, you shouldn't be ashamed about that because you never took a finance course. You never took a personal finance course. So that's the first thing: have humility and not be ashamed on where you are. Accept where you are, like they say in Alcohol Anonymous. Look in the mirror and say, hey, I'm an alcoholic, so I should never be in bars and stuff like that because I can't beat it. So that's the first thing, is you have to have that. The second thing is you have to have the ability to go out and seek out successful people. And they're out there. You'd be amazed. Successful people are more giving than unsuccessful people. You just got to go out with the humility, ask them for their help. And the third thing is, this is the most important one: you got to do exactly what they tell you without questioning. And a lot of times in our community, we have a hard time with that. We always want to, if that, but guess
Right.
what?
Right.
If you're where you are, but the successful person's where, maybe you might want to do what they do because their habits are better than yours. That's really all it boils down to.
That's good information. And yes, I swear, everyone that I have, when I ask that question or whenever there's some kind of way that comes out, and they all say the same thing about having a mentor, having someone that's doing what you want to do, finding successful, which whenever I wrote my second book, Day One, I have a chapter in there about proximity. And if you want to look at your success, look at the people that you're surrounding yourself with every day, because what are they feeding you? So I love that you reiterated that as well. Okay, so let me get some more into DJ the Money Coach's business, because he has like 82 businesses. So okay, so one of the things that you talk about or that you teach or that's in your course is Wi-Fi, and it's WHYFI, your financial independent state. So can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, so that's an acronym for why financial independence. So in order to be free in the world, Holly, you have to have money and you have to have it match your debt. And so if you can take your money that's passive, so let's say for instance you make $1,000 a month and your living expenses are $500 a month, that means that you're free. But if your living expenses are $1,500 a month and you only make 1,000, then you don't have financial independence. So, able to get to financial independence, it's a numerical formula that you basically put it into an algorithm. It shows what your expenses are that you actually need versus your wants and how much money you have. So what Robert Kiyosaki says, if you have $12,000 in the bank and your living expenses are 1,000, you have 12 months of financial independence. So what we do inside our course, Holly, is we take all your data, your budget, your finances, your savings, your investments, your house, and all that. We put it all together and we tell you exactly the time, the date, and year that passive income you'll be free for the rest of your life. So for me, I got financially independent in 2002 of June. So I actually took all my debt. I did not file bankruptcy on the $60,000 because, again, nobody put a gun to my head. So I took ownership of the debt that I signed up for. And then I start, breaking down my budget and then the things that I need. And one example I like to give people is real simple. Look at bottled water, for instance. And like you said, with a salad. So I just came back from Chula Vista, California. So I went out to a restaurant and a salad was $20. And I said to myself, that salad can't be that great that I actually need it in terms of the value. But I have to understand that and have discipline, not feel, embarrassed that I don't want to overpay for something. If that makes sense, because that's generally where the image problem comes in. So we take that information and then we put it into the algorithm and it'll tell you the date, time, month, and year, or what you have to work towards to get. So that's the first thing we do in our class is teach you what your financial independence day is, the date, time, and the year, show you the structure of what you have to do from putting you on a budget for, the first week, but then we put you on a budget for 30 days because your habits are going to be consistent over 30 days. And then the third thing is we give you an executable plan to work with it, not by yourself, but with people that are already successful. So as I was about to say before, those three people you got to have in your life: the spiritual leader, based on, principles of success, not based on personality. Second thing, leadership. So you have to follow somebody that's a leader. And Miles Monroe, who passed away, was a great leader. The leader that I follow now is named John C. Maxwell. He wrote a book, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. How do you know you're a leader? Because if you turn around, there's people following you, good or bad, you are a leader, okay? And then the third one that's important, Holly, you have to find somebody with a successful business that's making the kind of money, principally, that you want to make. And then you just follow them step by step. And then that will give you the secret behind Wi-Fi, which stands for Why Financial Independence.
Okay, got it. First of all, let me just also go ahead and co-sign on that because I was just with my daughter somewhere and I won't throw them under the bus, but we were at a chicken place and so I ordered a 4 tender meal. And so so I just ordered 4 tenders. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm hungry. It's fried chicken, whatever, 4 tenders. The lady said 16 something. And I was like,
Ooh.
yeah. So I said, you know what, ma'am, go ahead and cancel that order. That's ridiculous. I was like, that's okay. So my daughter, who's a second year in college, she's like, are you serious? And I was like, heck yeah. I was like, that it's the principal. And she was like, you got money. And I said, first of all, stay out of my pockets. And second of all, yes, I want to keep money. And I was like, it's the principle of the matter. Like, I do not need 4 pieces of like, if it was a box of chicken, I would have been like, oh, okay, well, at least I could feed 2 people, give some. Four chicken tenders, my dog's not even getting a piece. Like there's nothing left over for $16. So I would just like to say that I totally feel you when you're talking about the $20 salad because I'm always like, I don't know about that. So
Let me say this because your audience is probably listening. Oh man, you guys don't enjoy yourself. I said no. If you put that into a budget that I'm going to go out and spend X amount of dollars, and it's not going to detract from me paying down all my debt, fully funding my Roth IRA, fully funding my 401k, my 403b, or my self-employment pension plan if I'm a business owner, and I'm hitting all of those, I think you should spend your money and enjoy your life. And that's why we have a mantra that's a movement called the P.O.M, lifestyle movement, which is plenty of money, peace of mind, because we can't take it with us. But what I am saying, Holly, if you're going out and making leisurely spends and vacations, but you don't have a savings, you got a bad credit score, you can't pay off your car, then you are out of line discipline-wise. So get back in line and then plan all that stuff. I tell people you should take 6 vacations a year. For the past 12 years plus, I've taken 6 vacations a year. Number one, if you're married, you should take 2 vacations, 2 7-day, 6-night vacations with you and your spouse. Number 2, you should take 2 trips with your children. I, like yourself, I have 4 children, so I make sure that I take my children on vacations. And then you got to have a guy's trip and a girl's trip. And if you do that all within a budget, you'll have an amazing lifestyle. Here's a great thing that a lot of people don't realize. Since I've been doing this for 23 years, the average person can make $100,000 a year. But if you've got an 800 credit score you have your house paid off and your car paid off, and you live in a affluent neighborhood where the average house is maybe about $400,000. After you fund all of these, budget, Roth IRA, pay down college tuition and stuff like that, you still would have about $1,600 a month left to play with. But a lot of people don't do the work, so they don't believe it. That's the hard part. But once you get it under control and realize, hey, $8,333 a month is 100 grand. But if my living expenses are only 4,000 or 6,000 or 7,000, I still got $1,300 to play with to enjoy a high quality life, and you can embrace the Pom lifestyle, plenty of money and peace of mind. And we say, come join us on the beaches of the World Club. It's nothing better than taking 6 vacations a year because it's a great life.
Well, and I just want to also say that, and I take 6 vacations a year, but I don't have all of that because my friends are terrible and none of them ever want to travel. So I take 6 vacations a year by myself.
There you go. There you go.
Usually my daughter, like she says, she lives the life that she deserves. So she gets to always be my plus one. But no, I totally understand that. And I also, that made me remember something. So I was actually reading an article today, and they were talking about the median single person household per different states. So they were like in Hawaii, the median single person household needs to be this amount to live comfortably. So Hawaii was like the top state, and then it was something else, and I think California was like number 3. And then so I was, of course, now I'll go to the article and I'm looking because I'm in Texas. So I'm
Sure.
like, oh, okay, so Texas is like $50,000 for or 60,000 to live comfortably in Texas as a single person household. So whenever you were talking about that, what I want to do is also, because I just wrote my 3rd book about being single, so I have a lot of single followers that that watch my show, and I try to get information that is tangible things that they can implement into their life, things that are reachable, doable. Because I get guests sometimes and people tune it out because they're like, well, that's not me. Well, I'm never going to be financially savvy, or that's not going to happen for me. So for a single person that's doing that, like maybe that's making $50,000 a year, and they're just surviving on life. So what are some of the things that you would tell that person? I know we said the discipline or what, and the tools and stuff, but I say I'm coming to you as a single person and I'm like, look, because it's probably a younger person, so I'm gonna say it how they would say it. Look, bro, I only make about like only make like $52,000 a year. Fortunately, I live in a state where that's a good median cost, good median salary. The cost of living is doable, but I don't even know where to freaking start. But I just feel like I'm constantly buried. So tutor me how you would take me in as a client and guide me on what you would tell me I need to start doing to not feel so helpless.
Absolutely. First thing I would tell you, Holly, is that here's a budget sheet. So fill out everything that you spend your money on. And then secondly, here's a 10-question survey that will answer exactly what your level of financial excellence is and how to help you out. That will take you, Holly, about 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes to do the budget, maybe 3 minutes to do the survey. After we do that, that's an assessment. Then we will sit down with you for 20 minutes, and then we'll give you 3 questions that are most painful to you. It could be, I want to pay off student loan, I want to open up a business, I want to give $100,000 to charity. Then we would sit down, Holly, with you and show you exactly step by step how to do that. First, fill out the budget. Second, answer the 10-question survey. It has questions on there like, do you have revolving credit that you just pay the minimums on your credit card? Do you have a 401k? Do you have, college education? These simple questions that everybody, come across in their mind. So at $52,000, once they answer those questions and then they tell us the 3 that they want to have answered on terms of where they want to go, we then would give them a guide plan to follow. And the first thing is I say, look, let me plug you in to a course. It's called Family Finance 101. I actually created this in 2002. It's 7 plus, chapters in it, but it's actually condensed down to just 3 hours of courses that you can actually take one where you are. And I'll give you an example. So when I got my $60,000 worth of debt, what I didn't share with you, I read a chapter in a book by Susie Orman called The Road to Wealth. And it was just about personal financing, how to do the quadrant of getting out of credit card debt. And it was 700-page book, but I only read 20 pages because that's the only thing I need to know about. So you can take just like a college course, and I can focus on one thing that's paining you the most, and then we can drill down and work on it. The second thing I tell them, let's get a budget. Let's get you out of debt. If you don't have an 800 credit score, let's get you there. And then let's do the basics of getting financially well. Savings account, 401 account, Roth IRA, dividends. And then if you have all of those that you can set aside at least $50 a month, then we'll show you how to start a business based on the gifts God gave you. And it's really that simple. So I'm able to relate to people that are 12 years of age to people who are 100 years of age. Because again, I've been doing this since December 2002. So I've met everybody. And then the most important part for the people who are young and married with young children, about the time their children is 6, 7 years of age, I tell them to open up dividend stocks and put them in a custodial Roth IRA. If you take inside our book in our class, it's called How to Become a Millionaire. I can show you how to put $67 a month aside at 12% interest rate. Your child by 45 will have $1 million in the bank that your kid wouldn't be able to stop because it's just a mathematical formula, and it'll be all tax-free under the Custodial Roth IRA Act, which actually came out, I think, in 2017.
Yeah, I'm always mad that my daddy didn't have it together for me, because I'm like, I needed you to have been doing some financial independence stuff. Ray Cotton got me out here having to hustle 5 jobs. Thank you, Dad.
But that made you industrious. So the fact that
Yeah.
that turned into a positive.
That's okay. I would have much rather not have to go that route.
I hear you. I hear that all the time.
Right. Bastards. Okay, so the last thing that I wanted to ask you about is I wanted to circle back to your class, Faith, Love, and Money, and you going back into the community and teaching that. So can you give us some, because I love a feel good story. I love whenever people have these gifts, like I said earlier, and they're actually doing it for free, because I know whenever we're talking about, hey, we have this product, or I have this course, or I'm doing this, everybody, they kind of start tuning out. Like they're like, oh, they just want to get money, or they just it's just more money in their pocket or whatever. But you actually are out in the community teaching this course as well. So can you go into some more detail about that course?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, I started the course back in 2000, and I started right in my own church. And I actually had taken a course by Focus on the Family by Dr. James Dobson. Only challenge was, Holly, is that course took 8 weeks to finish. So what I was able to do is to condense it down into 3 hours and teach it based on the tenements of the Bible. So the Bible has more verses in it about money than it has anything at all. So we basically go in, we find verses in the Bible and show them what financial stewardship is about. So one of the greatest things that we teach is the 3 talents. And it's the parable of the talents, where the master, who is Jesus, he comes down, he gives one guy one peso, gives one guy 5 and 1 10. The guy with 1, he buries in the ground because he's afraid to lose it. The guy with 5 only makes a little bit. So Jesus Christ comes back and gets both of their talents, give it to the guy that had 10 because he doubled his money. So then we just show you the rule of 72. So that's how to double your money based on taking interest divided into number 72. So if I get 7% divided into 72, your money would double every 10 years. Then we show them the stewardship of not being in debt. There's a passage in the Bible that says, he who owes debt to another man is his slave. So you should be the lender, not the lendee. So we basically take those scriptures and then show them how to line them up with principles that actually are germane to their spiritual base. And we give them that information, where that 3-hour course, we give them a consultation absolutely free. And then we put them in front of successful business people to get them in the right stewardship. That's why it's called Faith, Love, and Money. And as they move forward, now that they've gone through that program, now they can get professional help that they can now afford to pay for. So that gives them a leg up. We're not giving handouts, but we're giving hand ups. And at that responsibility, now that person has some skin in the game. See, that's the problem with any community, especially our community, the Black community, is that we're always looking for, the victim mentality versus looking at the victor reality, which is, like you said, don't be upset that your parents coming up in our generation, they didn't know about money because they weren't taught about it. But in the information age, there's no reason for your children not to know because they can Google it, they can YouTube it. Just make sure they're getting it from the right people. That's the key component. So as you bring those people through faith, love, and money, now you can take them and put them in a course that's called, 3 Steps to Success. And what that basically is, Holly, is teach them how to run a business. So take your gifts and figure out what ones you're passionate about. And then you take those gifts and you put in what's called a hedgehog concept, Holly. Basically, all this says is what's my passion? What's my gift? Secondly, what's the market that I can grow in? Because most markets are saturated, but there's always a niche inside of every market. And then the most important one from a marketing standpoint, Holly, how do I get people in front of me? So how we do it here at the 7 Spheres of Money system, number one, my passion, financial education. I have an accounting background. As I said, my mom was in debt. I was in debt, so I got out of it. I started working in my church. So that's my passion. My niche is that I work with professional middle class people because there's 35 million plus in America. And that means I take them through 7 Spheres of Money like nobody else can and get them into stewardship. And then how do I prove I'm good at what I do? I give them a complimentary consultation. I come on amazing shows like this, and I can answer every question about money because I built 12 businesses since 1996. 8 of them with learning tools. 4 of them make 7 figures, and I have one, which is a resort, is going to be a 9-figure business by 2027. So again, it's about checking the fruit on the tree. I always tell people this as it pertains to these social platforms. Ask people one question. If you're marketing, selling me something, show me your equity, show me your ownership in it first before I buy it from you. Don't show me you consult me, but show me you own 2 buildings. Show me you have $1 million in the bank. Don't give me these sexy commercials that you spent $100,000 so you can make $1 million. Show me the equity and the ownership. And then we apply these 5 principles of success. Number 1, cooperative economics. In our community, we have to learn to work together and put our egos aside. Number 2, leverage your professional network because access is really the key equation to being wealthy. It's not your intelligence or your skills. If I can get you in a room with Microsoft and they give you a contract, you got to get in that room first. That's the first thing, right? Mm-hmm. Then the third thing is take your ecosystem. You have a great ecosystem. You have over 70,000 plus followers. I have a great ecosystem. And then we come together, Holly, and we create an interdependent relationship. 2 independent, successful entities come together to make a greater one. And then the last one is equity and ownership. Don't do anything in your sphere of life that you don't have equity and ownership. What do I mean by that? Don't blow TikTok up if you don't have stock in TikTok. Don't blow up Clubhouse if you don't have stock in Clubhouse. And don't play victim when you went on these platforms and made them popular and you got nothing but a pat on the back and somebody borrowed your skills. That's really. But if you got equity and ownership, everything that we do in our 7 spheres of money, we have equity and ownership, but we don't get involved with it, Holly. It's just that simple.
And I love that you said that point because I had a video that came up on my Explore page the other day, and it was a guy, and it said, how much money did I make on TikTok for my $16 million 16 million view video, and he got like $60. It was the most insane thing. So I'm glad that you said that. Yes. And I actually that was part of something that I did also when I started getting, I guess, into the financial education world. Is I was like the same things. I was listening to someone, and that's what they said. They were like, if you don't own stock in it, you shouldn't have it in your house. Like you should. So if you got not like don't buy me another pair of Nikes. Buy me some Nike stock. Don't if you buy makeup at Ulta, you should have stock in Ulta. I was like, you know what? Let me go buy me some buy me some stuff. So everything I own, everything I'll use, everything I own, that's exactly what I do now. So yes. Okay. So you guys, I know we got a million questions for DJ the Money Coach, but we gotta wrap up. So DJ, everyone now, of course, they want to know how they can get in touch with you, how they can find you, where are you located at. They're trying to figure out what this church is that you go teach this free class in, where they can take this assessment. So give us where you're located, how people can follow you, find you, website, and then any projects, because I know that you have something, we didn't talk about it, but I know you have something coming up where you guys are going to Africa for something, I'm already informally inviting myself. But anyway, back to you. So tell us about any of the projects that you have coming up as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing is, if people want to get help, they can actually reach us the analog way. They can dial our 800 number that's been around since December of 2002. Is 1-866-395-3042. 1-866-395-3042. And you'd be surprised, Holly. A lot of people call us. You'd be surprised. The second way, they can actually go to our website, djthemoneycoach.com. That's right, djthemoneycoach.com. It'll show you everything about us, how long we've been in business. We work with Chase Bank. We're working currently with Microsoft. We work with the airports. So we have all the receipts and equity and ownership, which is important. I also teach employee open enrollments for Fortune 500 companies. Been doing that since 2002 as well. So then they can find us on YouTube at DJ the Money Coach as well, and on IG. I don't have a mass following because I'm in corporate America. I don't do a lot of stuff on the platforms because the real is what it is. So I'm like the millionaire next door, helping other people become millionaires. And then last but not least, what we decided to do for your community, Holly, is give them an incredible master live class taught by actual accountants, attorneys, business coaches, and seven-figure income earners certifiably. So if they want to really get help and they really want to invest in themselves, that's the best route to go. And I will give them 2 complimentary consultations that cost $1,500. So I will sit down with you personally, let you answer those 3 questions, and then we'll give you a budget and a survey. And when you answer that, I'll put you in front of my accounting company that actually works with ExxonMobil. I'll put you in front of my attorney, used to be the attorney for McDonald's hamburgers. And I'll put you in front of our financial planner who has over 100 different financial planning experts across the country. Her name is Nikki, and she was just on Forbes magazine for top 40 under 40 last year. So if that's what they're really looking for, then we can help them out, and would be more than, willing to share and answer the questions, because we're open 24/7, 365 on an 800 number. And we just try to help those who want to be helped. Let me say this. We don't do handouts, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not willing to be accountable, you're not willing to get on a budget, answer a survey, I will never help you. You know why? Because that will make you a victim. But if you want to be victorious and embellish the pom-pom lifestyle, which is plenty of money, peace of mind, all you got to do is those 4 dirty little words: discipline, accountability, plug into a proven system of success, and go to work for 2 to 5 years. I have not had one person that doesn't make over $100,000 a year when they do the program. Just that simple. That's why Chase loves us, and that's why Microsoft loves us.
And so, FYI, if you guys are already having anxiety because you don't want anybody in your business, that's your guilty conscience. So you already know you're not doing what you need to do. So, so, so take this month and you can get your life together, start doing something. You can implement some of those tools that DJ has been telling us already, and you can get a head start on it if you feel like, oh, I'm going to be too embarrassed to show him my my stuff. You can always do your own audit, because you ain't doing right. You're not doing right.
Yeah, that's one thing. And if they want, come check us out September 23rd. Actually, Dame Dash and myself is going to be doing an oral entrepreneur history at Rice University Business School, September 23rd, which is a Saturday, and it's going to be amazing. So if they really want to come in and meet us, that'll be the best place, because Dame Dash, everybody knows, he's taken, Jay-Z to the top, he's taken Kanye to the top, and now he and I are partnering together to do actual financial education at the entrepreneur level. And we're actually going to make this, Holly, an actual course across the HBCUs. So we're starting at Rice University with Prairie A&M and Texas Southern, and then we're going to Morris Brown in October. Then we're going down in December to Florida Memorial, which is another Black community. And then we're ending up in Zanzibar, where I'm building a 220-unit luxury residential resort, and we're going to do it on Martin Luther King's birthday. It's going to be spectacular.
Okay, so that's where I'm going to pop up on y'all in Zanzibar. Got it. Okay.
That's right.
Make vacation, little learning, little vacation. So, well, thank you so much, DJ. I really appreciate that. I hope that people really, you definitely dropped a lot of information, and I hope that people really listen and are able to take some of that stuff. And you guys, even if you don't reach out to DJ, even if you don't think that it's something you want to do right now or whatever, he definitely gave you a lot of free information that you can implement into your life now, And even if it's just that initial audit of doing your own assessment of your finances before you even reach out to someone, I mean, that will take you just go look through your bank statement and circle the things that you know you didn't need or whatever. So accountability is huge, and we trying to be financially independent and secure and have some equity and some ownership. Like, we trying to be the change in the world, DJ the money coach. We're trying to be the change. So
Absolutely.
thank thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Holly. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure and a privilege. And God bless to those. I wish anybody nothing but great health as above everything. Have great health and God bless you.